Produced by Victoire. Victoire gives a special thanks to the EWF, Empire Wrestling Federation, and Mr. Jesse Hernandez, as well as SoCal Wrestling TV. Find the app on Roku. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Stylin' with Rico and Emir. Ladies and gentlemen, let us officially introduce ourselves once again. I'm your co-star, the Master Emir. Down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see my other co-star, my tag team partner, ladies and gentlemen, the stylist, Rico Costantino.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Stylin'.
It is a wonderful afternoon. I'll tell you why it's wonderful, Rico, because we've got our special guest.
Yes, we do.
Back again, everyone, by popular demand. Ladies and gentlemen, Flash Flanagan is joining us once again this week. Flash, welcome back.
I'm glad to be back.
And we're glad
to be around to be back.
We are happy to have you, Flash, true talent. Rico, before we start, what would look good to you and I?
How about you lay the smack down on that subscribe button right now and share it with your friends. And while you're down there, hit the like button.
Yep, absolutely. I have noticed we have looked at the analytics. Some of you who are tuning in have yet to hit that subscribe button. So we are telling you now, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the likes, and share with your friends and family. We greatly appreciate it here at Stylin', indeed. And also, Rico, I'm going to remind the viewers that our Snapchats are available. When this episode is airing, the debut, what you're watching right now, you can go down and you can hit a super chat. Now, you hit a super chat, that helps support us here. That helps support us create the content that we're giving you week after week. So we ask that you use those super chats. And I tell you what, you leave a super chat and leave a question in there, we'll answer it next week right here on the podcast. How about that? There you go. That's fair. That's a fair thing, isn't it? So, all right. So, gentlemen, let's kick it off. Now, for viewers, Rico and I were on the Café de René this past week with Rene Dupree, and it was quite the episode. And during that episode, a topic was brought up, and this has been a topic that's been on my mind for years. The Chris Benoit situation. Okay.
Yeah.
Very tragic situation, as both of you gentlemen know. Chris murdered his entire family. First, they blamed steroids. We know the story, yada, yada, yada. But one of the things that I find interesting about the whole case is that, they say that he just lost it. He lost the plot. He snapped, right? But it took him 3 days to murder his wife, murder his son, and then hang himself. So to me, that means he was still cognitive of everything he was doing. He didn't necessarily snap into a fit of rage and just obliterate everything in his path. He knew what he was doing. So on that note, my thing is this. Everybody says Chris Benoit was a wonderful guy. Rico, you've said it yourself.
Yeah.
Rico, you've wrestled with the guy. Flash, did you ever meet Chris?
One of the last conversations I had with him, I told him, I go, as sick as this is, but I know I seen him when they did the pay-per-view in Puerto Rico, because we were talking about spots to do in that elimination chamber. Mm-hmm. And then Les Thatcher had him at a show at one of the Heartland Wrestling shows. You were there, Rico.
Yep.
And
we had him at OVW.
But I was sitting there talking to him. He walked up. I go, man, Chris, you always look like you're ready to kill somebody. just as a joke. And then he started laughing. He goes, no, I got a lot of things in my mind. Yeah. And you never think anything of it.
Yeah. And that was how long before? That was how long before he passed?
Oh, that was shoot.
Champions. They're not born in the gym. It starts from the inside and it works its way out. Do you feel it more difficult to obtain muscle? Are you tired or perhaps depressed? Then there's a solution. Our brand new partner and sponsor, Care Aesthetics of La Quinta, are here to help you get restored to optimal health. Just use the contact information in this video and schedule your free consultation. Be sure to mention the name of the podcast, whether that be Power and Glory, Stylin', Masterclass, or Hey Roma, when doing so. We wish you all the best in your road to optimized health. And now, back to the show.
You always look like you're ready to kill somebody. Just as a joke. And then he started laughing. He goes, "No, I got a lot of things in my mind." Yeah. And you never think anything of it.
Yeah. And that was how long before? That was how long before he passed?
Oh, that was shoot. That would have been 2000, maybe 2001.
So 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah, about 6, 7 years before he passed. Yeah. So there were signs of it. And obviously you could see he was quite aggressive. I mean, they said the level of testosterone in his body was 10 times the normal amount. So I'm guessing now, Rico, I don't know. You and I, we know about TRT with our sponsor, who, we'll have a word with our sponsor a little bit later here. But that means his test would have been at like almost 10,000. If the rate, that's a lot. I don't even know how he was able to function on that. Flash, do you know anything about TRT and testosterone and all that?
What's TRT?
Okay. Testosterone hormone therapy. Testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
So with
yeah, I mean I always hate when anything comes up and they start all of a sudden, if there's any drugs or anything in someone's system, when they say, "Oh, there was testosterone, their levels were this high, and that caused them to do this." I don't buy any of that. And then anything else now is like, there's they want to start banning pain medication and all that, and make it harder for people that need pain medication. So they sit there, and so anytime someone comes up, like Matthew Perry,
okay,
the him dying with the doctor saying, they said the doctor or whoever it was injected him over and over. Who's to say the doctor didn't inject him? The doctor left, and Matthew Perry's like, "Well, shoot, I want some more," and injects himself and injected too much in him. Mm-hmm. And I just don't buy it's always wanting to ban something. They'll ban something and then legalize something else and want you to start taking that.
Yeah.
Big
Pharma is not your friend. Big Pharma is not your friend.
In Nevada, from experience, not taking it, but being in law enforcement, Nevada was hard on doctors for not prescribing enough pain medicine.
Really?
They got in trouble for it. So then they switch and they start prescribing things. Now Nevada is turned around, did a 180, and now we're going after doctors who prescribe too much pain medicine.
That's absolutely crazy.
The pendulum just whoop.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Like,
and
remember
now,
back in the day?
Yeah.
Back in the day, they had the commercials where the guys were getting high and they're going through the drive-through, and then all of a sudden the kid's riding the bicycle and hit him like, "Oh, don't smoking weed or whatever." What's the hemp? The cracking the eggs in the skillet. This is your brain on drugs. And
yeah.
But now it's like, okay, you can smoke weed, and that's cool, but if I take some painkillers, I'm the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said, supply and demand, and now it's in demand because people got hooked on it. They can't come off it, and then it becomes the monkey on their back.
Yeah.
So now that's why Nevada has flopped and now really regulating doctors, and that's why a lot of doctors are leaving Nevada because the AMA is just so powerful there.
Yeah, it's amazing, but fortunately for Rico and I, for Flash 2, it's available to you, and for our viewers, we've got our brand new sponsor and partner, Aesthetics of La Quinta. You're going to be seeing a trailer running through this. If you're interested, I strongly suggest in this day and age that you seek out medicine and holistic practices like those that we deal with. This is the way you treat the root cause of a problem, not just put a Band-Aid on the problem. I think that's the key. But coming back to Chris. So one of the things that I find strange is, again, hearing these good things about him and all this other stuff. And everyone said he just lost it and he went nuts and he couldn't think and the rationale part in his brain wasn't working anymore. That can't be true because it happened over 3 days. Now, or was it something else? Was it not Chris? Did he not do this? I know I'm going way off into left field here, right? I know it. But I can't be helped but think back to the Dino Bravo situation, who is also a fellow Canadian, who was murdered by the mob. Do you recall that story? Do you recall that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
So
we don't talk about that stuff.
no. Okay.
You
All right.
go ahead.
All right.
I'll
Okay.
listen.
All right. Okay. So I'm just reporting the facts. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just reporting the facts. I'm not making anything up. So Dino Bravo was murdered. There was a word that he was involved with the mob, and he was watching sports in his apartment. They came in, they shot him in the back of the head. I think multiple times, right? Flash.
17 times I heard.
Yeah. Boom.
There was
Just
no head left.
no, no head left.
The
So what?
cigarette smuggling.
Yeah. So when I think about that, I think about this Benoit situation because there's still something that seems off about the whole situation. I just heard a recording of Chris from June the 23rd, 2007, 2 days before the cops went in there and found everybody. He sounds perfectly friggin' fine. He's offering to help a friend out of a situation. So you explain to me. What's the deal? Rico, you were in law enforcement. You've been an investigator. Is there anything that's remotely suspicious about this at all?
Well, not taking steroids or not bringing that into it or his CTE yet. When you go to a murder suicide stuff like that, what I heard back then, just from friends who were cops, is it did take 3 days. The first one to go was his wife, second son, and then he took his own life. And you could be right there. I didn't see the condition of the house, or I wasn't on scene. I haven't seen official photographs, but maybe he did snap. Domestic violence is rampant in
Mhm.
America. That's why they have the domestic violence law. When I was officer first time in 85, 86, 87, they didn't have a domestic violence law.
Mhm.
But when I came back and I was an officer again, it was definitely in full force. And what they told us in the academy was if you go to a scene, there's marks on one, not on the other, that one goes, the one that doesn't goes to jail. Or if
Mhm.
they both have marks, they both go to jail.
So, Rico, I got to ask you though. You've been to the scene of crimes where people have snapped. Typically, if somebody snaps, everything's over in one shot. It's not 3 days.
No, it's not. And talking off camera, now talking on camera, I'm going to say, me, as Flash will probably attend, I think they got into a domestic violence situation. It got too far and she died. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know if she was choked to death or I didn't hear the cause of death of the wife.
Mhm.
And after he did that, he went into the, fear stage, paranoia, all that. What's he going to do? I don't know if the son was there, not there at the time, or was he upstairs? Did this happen in the basement? So I figured after that, he could think things like, okay, I'm going to go to jail
Mhm.
and my son's going to be brought up by foster parents.
Mhm.
Maybe in his mind, he didn't want that to happen. Now, that was supposedly Friday night. He was supposed to be at a pay per view Saturday defending a title.
Right.
But what I was told is that he watched the pay per view with his son.
Mhm.
And after that, he was a second. I guess he Xanaxed him and then suffocated him with a pillow, is
Mhm.
what I was told.
Yeah.
And then going through all that remorse or getting the courage up, he took his own life.
Yeah. It's just a tragic situation.
Yeah.
Flash, wasn't his son autistic or something? He was on the spectrum.
From what I know, I mean, I've never met the kid, so just what you hear.
Yeah.
I never met any of his kids,
I saw Daniel. I
Uh-huh.
got to meet Daniel.
Uh-huh.
but
He
what
didn't
I
look
hated was
autistic.
Oh.
the news kind of made it sound like, oh, he put him in the crippler crossface,
Mm. Yeah.
which was completely stupid because a kid that size, you know, no,
Yeah.
just
No, though, like I said, he Xanaxed him and then suffocated him when he fell asleep. No pain.
Hmm.
I
well,
don't know what happened to the wife.
Yeah. Yeah. But we talked off camera as well about domestic violence. And again, if
Yes.
anybody is in that situation, Rico, who should they reach out to if anybody is, hemorrhaging toward that?
Oh, well, first and foremost, if you're getting that heated with your spouse, walk away, take a breath. Don't say something that you're going to regret later, and think. Got to come off that ladder, that plank, and be the bigger person, and just go take some breaths. Walk outside. Lock yourself in your room. Don't instigate.
Mm-hmm.
Don't always have to get the last word in.
All right.
And if it starts getting physical, somebody's got to leave, or else, it turns into a murder case or somebody being hurt or
Mm-hmm.
paralyzed. It can go nowhere but bad.
Yeah.
And it's going down, and people's human being, as their dander's getting up and they're getting angry, that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, step away.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
No, it's
Just,
not. It's not. We've heard there have been other cases, of course, where, other wrestlers have been involved with domestic violence abuse over the years. And Flash, you brought up a point because we talked about testosterone and we were talking about, I think we talked off camera about Chris's levels were supposedly 10 times higher than what's, considered normal. So what normal would be anywhere up to about 1,000 on the register of total testosterone. So if he's got 10,000, well, first of all, I don't even know how he's still alive because he would have had a heart attack at that level. That is a lot. Rico, can you imagine having a 10,000? No. But you mentioned something about where they're always blaming, everything on steroids and testosterone. You got some thoughts about that. What are your thoughts, Flash?
Well, just like with everything with steroids, baseball players and all that, steroids aren't going to make you hit a ball. You've got to have talent to hit a ball. They don't tell you about the diet and all that stuff you got to do. It's, I mean, that's a lot of steroids in your body, but and I've taken them.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had no psychotic where I'm going to go on a rampage and start killing everybody.
Yeah.
But I've been on rampages and I've not taken anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used to get picked on in school and I would just wait. And then, like I said, I used to have a buddy of mine who was my Don King.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say, hey, give me a fight with this guy. And we'd sit at fight.
Yeah.
And then right there, I'd let my rage out.
Wow.
yeah. See, you were smart about it. You set it up.
Yeah. So Flash, let me get this right. You were making money after school for real fights?
No, this is free. This was like, hey, this was no hard feelings.
Yeah.
And then guys that sit there and picked on me, I like, all right, we come over and box.
Yeah.
And I'd knock them out. And then
you know what it is, Flash? Those producers from Fight Club must have been hanging around your school. Those bastards stole the idea from Flash. That's what it is, Rico.
I wish I would have recorded all those fights.
Yeah.
And just and charged money to come. My garage was packed with people coming to watch them.
That's right. He was a natural born promoter, Rico.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
But,
and fighter.
And fighter. Gosh.
But see, what way to handle a bully is in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And that shuts them down. I bet you they never came back to you, Flash.
They didn't pick on me anymore.
Yeah.
But then it got to be someone else wanted to try. Someone else wanted to try.
Yeah.
And I thought I killed one kid. I hit him up in an uppercut in his sternum. Right in there. And he just went,
yeah.
His knees flat down on the ground trying to get his air. And I thought I killed him.
Yeah.
And then his buddy, he's like, man, get back up and fight. If not, I'm going to beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And then the kid takes his gloves off because here you fight him. Yeah. I was like, man, I got to fight again. Yeah. And then, you want to fight? I'm like, all right. Mm-hmm. And he was a big kid. And I was like, if he hits me, it might hurt. So I just unloaded on him. And I remember him turning his back and trying to get away from me. And he quit. And he turned around, he got boogers and everything hanging down his face. But I was like, God.
Nah, man. The shame. Oh, the shame. Yeah. It's like back in the old West, Flash, whoever the best gunslinger was, everybody came looking for you and wanted to draw it out like Wild Bill or something like that.
I got clocked one time. He hit me so hard, it was like a gong going off in my head. It was like, bong, and all I saw was like a psychedelic color spinning around. And he backed off trying to get his air. If he would have came and hit me again, that would have, because I didn't want to go down. Yeah. But if he would have hit me again, I was down.
What do you guys feel about the way that things are now, though? Because now, kids are told they're not allowed to fight. They're told, always walk away or whatnot. It's kind of an odd situation. Rico, what do you think about that? These new rules where you're supposed to just turn away and not fight back, because that's what they're trying to instill.
Well, I was just like Flash,
Mhm.
picked on in school because I was very small.
Yeah.
I became a good runner.
Yep.
So I was quick. And then when I was said, I'm not running no more, I took martial arts.
Hmm.
And
Well, kids are punks nowadays.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
like, oh, no one wants to fight anymore. They just want to grab a gun.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, yeah. But in my day, which is older than you two, probably put together, uh, everybody was fists,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, then they had knives.
Yeah.
Now they have guns, but they don't point them at you. They wait till you're not looking and do drive-bys. And they have a bunch of their friends with them.
Yeah.
So, the fighting thing's not worth it. Probably that's why they're doing this don't fight, because you don't know what somebody's going to do.
They've
And when I was a police officer, cab drivers would get run out on and they chase the people. I'm sorry, are you nuts? You
Mhm.
don't know what they're chasing you into. I
Yeah.
mean, the cab, you work for a company, it's insured. That money's insured.
Yeah.
And if somebody sticks a gun in your face, get out of the car and say, yeah, here's the money, because it's the company's money, not yours. And if they want to take your car, say, I'll clean it up for you. I'll wash it. Take it.
You,
Goodbye.
you know what it reminds me of, gentlemen? It reminds me of, people who put themselves unnecessarily in harm's way. So
Yeah.
you see a grocery store or something, someone's shoplifting, and the scrawny employer will try to be a hero. You don't know what that person's carrying. Trust me, it's not your money, it's not your company. Live to fight another day. Just let
Yeah.
it go because, not that I'm advocating these criminals either. I'm
No.
not, but I'm just saying, Rico.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I used to tell people, or people with road rage, chasing people in cars. And, you don't know what that person in front of you has,
Hmm.
and what if they get out and you come out with a tire iron, they come out with an 870 Remington? Uh,
You're
you're not going to
Better
done.
hope
win.
it's unloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just don't know in this day and age. People, it's a different world
yeah,
that I don't recognize from when I was growing up,
yeah.
and people are more prone to violence. And we talked about this on Cafe de Rene, is video games out there.
Yes, yes.
Everything is so graphic. In my era, there was Pac-Man, Asteroids, Miss Pac-Man, Frogger,
Yeah,
nothing exploding. The frog got squashed, but you didn't see his guts and brains all over the road,
right.
and nowadays, like we said, Call of Duty and all that, and you're playing over internet and you got a team of guys and you're killing other people through
Yeah.
the internet. So you're desensitizing everybody.
Well,
And
one of the
Now that I
worst
don't
ones.
buy.
What was that flash? You don't buy?
That
Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Dissension. Dissension.
okay. That part I don't buy.
Okay.
what?
That just comes with stupidity.
What does Ron White say? You can't
Can't fix
fix stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But it's like I said on Renee's, it just desensitizes and makes everybody think it's okay to do that. Like
Yeah.
in those games, you got 5 lives. How many lives do we have, gentlemen?
One. That's
We
it.
got one.
One.
We don't come back in a rerun. We
Yeah.
don't come back in next season's episode. It's one and done.
I
But
think I think what Rico's saying, Flash, to fill you in, because we talked a little bit on this with the Café de René. Okay, de René. And one of the things we talk about is because when the kids are young and their minds are like a sponge and they're still sapping stuff up, they become so desensitized when they see, themselves killing other humans on screen that as they mature and they grow up, it's difficult for them to find the fine line between reality and fantasy. And their response to what life is has changed. So they don't have those emotions like, maybe someone when their animal dies, they cry their heart out. They feel like they're going to die themselves. These kids are so used to death because they play with it all the time that when it happens in real life to them, it's like nothing. It's nothing. It's normal because they're programmed. It's MK Ultra is what it is.
Well, see, that's where I grew up. Me and my friends, we had guns. We were going the streets shooting at each other. Not real guns,
Yeah.
but I mean, we were playing cops and robbers, and cowboys and Indians, and all that, and we were killing each other.
Yeah.
Playing video games. I watched movies when I was young with all the killings and everything. I never sit there and say, "Oh man, I can't wait. I'm gonna go out and kill people."
Right.
No, no,
No.
no. I'm not saying the movies are totally to blame for it. I'm just saying it desensitizes them when they have to in their brain go, I'm not supposed to do that. They're people who have problems, they snap and they think it's okay. I
Right.
mean, if you saw John Wayne get hit or a cowboy get hit, he'd go, oh, and he'd put the little red patch in his hand, and that was the gunfire.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you see flesh and blood and splatter on the wall.
Yeah.
Everything is just so graphic.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
when I was a kid. Even the movies, horror movies have gotten out of hand, and with the green screen and virtual, all that stuff where they can make it up.
Hmm.
I just think it's just desensitizing. We're getting way off this rabbit hole with Chris Benoit,
No,
but
it's fine. Let's go down it, Rico, for a little bit because it'll all make sense in the end, God willing. All right. So one of
yeah.
the things I was going to tell you, I didn't get to tell my story the other day. So Flash, I worked in Hollywood for some time. I was a screenwriter, a career I would not wish to go back to at all. But I was a screenwriter, and there was one occasion where I had a meeting for a big director who was interested in my script. At this time, I had some actors attached to the script. And I went into this manager's office, and then I find out when I get there that they're also part of a production company. So it's a manager who runs a production company. And they had plastered on all their walls their current horror franchise movies. They were all over the walls. And I knew the second I walked in there, I was like, I can't stand this place. I want to get out of here. These are the bastards that I don't like. So anyway, I sit down with this lady and we're having a meeting and she starts boosting like, oh yeah, we're so proud of our horror series. Now this horror series, I'm not going to name the names here because people are so overly sensitive these days. But it was a series that was beyond horrific, and I never watched it, but I saw the trailer enough to see how grotesque this series is. And again, this is my pet peeve. People who write stuff like that need psychiatric help. They are mentally disturbed. But anyway, coming back to the story, man, I'm fired up today, guys.
No kidding.
Man, I'm fired
You're
up.
turning a little rosy there in the cheeks.
I am. Because
there could be a vein out of that forehead in a second.
there is. It's coming up. No, I'll tell you what, it's because like Flash, Rico, when people talk about like violence against women and children and you get heated. So
Oh,
for
yeah.
me, the movie industry, I get heated because I know that kids are watching this and it puts an image in someone's mind they can't unsee. And that's
Yeah.
the disturbing part. And these bastards are making millions of dollars off garbage. So anyway, this woman was telling me about the movie franchise, and I'm sitting there, I'm 27, 26, 27, and I'm thinking to myself, I got to say something. I said, you know what, excuse me, let me cut you off. This movie franchise that you've got right here is total bullshit. It's total evil. It's garbage. And she just went, right? Her mouse just dropped. And then I said, I guess this meeting's over. And she went like that. She kind of nodded. I said, bye. And I got up and left. But I tell you what, I was so happy that I did that. Of course, I didn't get the director. I didn't get the movie deal. But at the end of the day, I saved that part of my morals and values. I saved that innocence in me. I saved my faith for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But I just wanted to get out. I mean, they glorify this crap. They love to promote it to people, and they're not thinking about the consequences of what it does to some
All
people.
right.
Flesh, some people.
Some people. Go
Screw
ahead.
these people. What's the franchise movie here? Come on.
If I say it,
Oh,
no, because listen,
No.
if I say it, if I do say it, these weaklings that run this production company,
Come.
they may get offended. They
Yeah.
may get offended. They may start crying. I don't want to
I'm a
send them a box of
victim.
tissues. What?
I'm a victim.
He'll text it to you.
I'll text it to you. I'll text it to you, Flash.
It's like cartoons. The violence of cartoons.
Well,
Are you that
yeah.
stupid to realize? I mean, I watched that Three Stooges movie, the
Yeah.
one with Will Sasso and all that, and they
Yeah.
had to have a disclaimer on there that the stuff is not real and all that. Are you that stupid? If you have kids that are that stupid, you shouldn't have had kids to begin with because you're obviously the parents are idiots.
And we talked
Well,
about that on Cafe Show too, is that the nucleus of the family has been torn apart.
yeah.
Man, the husband and wife have to go out and work, and daycares or
Mhm.
the internet is now raising your children
Yeah.
because a family can't just have the husband go to work and the wife be a stay-home wife and clean the house because that's the way society's gotten. It's gotten too expensive, or broken
See,
homes.
that, that's again. I grew up. I lived with my dad. My grandma would watch me, but when I should really watch me, I would go out and go to my friends and everything else, and we just did what we wanted to do.
Mhm.
And I was smart enough not to do nothing stupid because I knew deep down I wanted to be a professional wrestler, and I didn't want to screw anything up to become a professional wrestler.
Right.
You know what the difference was though, Flash, back then? You know, when the way that parents raised their kids, they raised them with a sternness that they had some lenience, but it's not like the parents today. The parents today do not even, I'm surprised many of them know their kids' names. And again, not all, because I don't want anybody to attack us, you know, but some of them, you know, they don't pay any attention to their kid whatsoever. They just give them a cell phone way too young, right? I mean, let's
Oh,
face it. Yeah, Rico. It's
my
good.
ex and I had because we raised our granddaughter,
Mhm.
and that was an argument.
Yeah.
She wanted to give a granddaughter at 11 a cell phone. I'm
Wow.
like, why? Why? She's going to be in school. She should be here. We know where she's at. Well, in case she gets in trouble or needs help. Well, then she calls the police or has somebody call the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, a cell phone at 11 so she can text her friends. Come on.
Yeah. No.
That was a debate between the ex and I.
Yeah.
I just didn't see 15, 16. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, and as far as the broken home, I came from a divorced home,
Mhm.
and my mom had to work graveyard shift. But what she did is she hired a nanny, and we had a nanny for 4 kids, and we were always fed, always bathed, looked after. We were never left on our own.
Was she
But
hot?
Wow.
well, she wasn't hot, but I tell you what, she was the best, and her name was
Oh,
Ruthie.
Ruthie?
Ruthie,
Okay.
Ruthie, and she was old fashioned.
Yeah.
She came from the South, and she loved us like her own kids.
Yeah.
Uh, Treated us with love and everything. Took care of us. Made sure my mom got sleep. She lived with us in the house,
Uh-huh.
and Ruthie was a wonderful lady, God fearing woman. Like I said, she came from the South. She was a black woman,
Hmm.
but just that old God faith and
Yeah.
don't you take the Lord name in vain,
That's
you know,
good. That's good. Yeah.
but we listened to her,
Yeah.
and myself and my second brother, there was like a 6 year difference between my third brother and my little sister.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the kids fighting,
Yeah.
well, they do something to us and Tony and I to go after, and they would hide behind Ruthie. Now, if Ruthie was in the hallway and the kids were behind her, you weren't getting by Ruthie.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just no way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
amazing. Amazing.
my mom made sure we were taken care of,
Yeah. Yeah.
and hats off to my mother for that. And not a lot of parents can afford that and stuff like that. But, you know, that's, even though I had a broken home, divorced,
Mhm.
at a young age, and then right after the divorce, my grandfather, my best friend, died.
Mhm.
And so I went through about a year or two of just tragic, and then,
Yeah.
you know,
I, j-
Go ahead.
I just recently lost both my grandparents last year, gentlemen, and it was an odd. My grandmother had passed. My grandmother on my dad's side had passed years ago, so I was a lot younger, and I didn't get to spend as much time with her. But my grandparents who passed in the UK, it was strange because even now I had like a dream about them last night that I was talking to them and everything was fine. I think about them a lot. I've not been to the point where, and the reason I'm saying this is because, you know, getting to terms with someone passing in your life. I think this was the first big one that I've ever had. And it was both grandparents at the same time. They were 91, 92 respectively. Yeah, it's just been very difficult, not on an emotional level, like not crying and stuff like that, but just I'll have a thought. I'll see something or I'll think of something. I'll think, oh man, I'd love to sit down with I used to call him Nandad. I used to call him Nana and Nandad. So I'd like to sit down with him. And then I remember, oh, he's not here anymore. And it's very strange. Like I said, I've never experienced that with someone very close that I've really spent time with. It's a very tough situation, you know? Uh,
Flash, anybody on your side? That
Yeah. My mom died recently.
oh, I'm sorry.
sorry for that flash.
Well, here's the bad part about it. Is like, and I love my mom,
Yeah.
but me and her did not get along. We were like identical.
Yeah.
She had the temper like I have, and it just but she hated rest. She hated everything that I liked.
Wow.
So if I'd go visit her, she didn't want to hear anything about wrestling. And it was like, I Rico knows about I collect Star Wars stuff, and he tell behind me.
Yep.
But she hated Star Wars. She hated all this stuff that I liked. So coming over to visit her, it was like she didn't talk about anything. But
Mm.
after she passed, I started talking to my grandma about stuff, and it's like my grandma starts telling me how my grandpa they lived in California when they were younger, and my grandpa worked on the Hollywood sets building the movie cranes,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and they lived in Simi Valley. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, and they used to pass Spawn Ranch all the time. And my mom and her sisters and my aunts, they all wanted to go horseback riding over there, but they wouldn't let my grandparents wouldn't let them because they didn't know the people that lived there. Well, ironically, the people that lived there were the Manson family.
Mm. Gosh.
We talked about him a couple weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, you could have told me something like that. That would have been cool to listen to. But
Speaking,
You could have got recruited.
yeah.
what
Speaking of which, Flash, how's your movie coming along?
Yeah.
I don't go. I leave. I think on the 11th to go there.
Okay, the
So
11th.
they pushed about a week, pushed it back.
Well,
Oh,
just my filming parts.
Okay.
I know they pushed your
Yeah, I
part
wouldn't.
a week.
I guess. I mean, the filming starts on the 8th.
Okay.
So
Right.
whenever they need me to come in, it's like the 11th I'm coming in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ladies,
You said from the 5th to like the 11th or something like that.
yeah, so I got to look at my flight itinerary. So
Yeah.
very cool.
Well, get ready because any movie production is never on schedule.
Yeah.
Never.
To be announced.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
now I lived in Puerto Rico for 6 years, so I always know like Puerto Rican time. They say be here at 2 o'clock, and they actually mean like 4 or 5. So
And speaking of Puerto Rico, ladies and gentlemen, we were supposed to be joined today by Luke Williams, the Bushwhacker, WWE Hall of Famer and legend. Great guy, but he was busy today. He was whacking his way through some competition somewhere around the world. But ladies and gentlemen, he will be joining us. He will be joining us very soon. I know why you guys are laughing. And I tell you what, right? That's not what I meant. If that's what you're thinking. All right. That's not what I meant.
Oh my God.
All right,
The
okay, we'll just-
bushwhacker whacking his way through the states.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
No wonder he does this.
Yes. Well, then he's very blessed, I guess.
Yes, I guess so.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was a funny.
traveling with him was so funny.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, and then getting him wound up.
Yeah.
How easy was it to wind him up?
All right.
Just a quick one. Just
Yeah.
your prelude to next a couple weeks.
It was really simple. I mean, we faked. We had someone fake an injury one night, and he was trying to find an ambulance and get someone to get hold of an ambulance. And when he found out it wasn't real, he was like, "That was a good one, mate. We'll see how funny it is when you get your pink slip tomorrow." But we'll have to go into that story because I almost got someone killed over that.
Oh gosh.
No.
Wow.
Well, in Puerto Rico, we know that's pretty close to the truth.
Yeah.
A lot of people disappeared down there.
Yeah. Yeah. It must have been. Well, we're going to get into all of that. Viewer,
Yep.
subscribe button right now. Tune back in 2 weeks from now. Flash and Luke Williams, WWE Hall of Famer. Come on. Hall of Famer.
They're going to tell us all about Puerto Rico.
Oh.
Anything you want to know about Puerto Rico, stay tuned 2 weeks from now. We're going to have the people that actually were there and worked in Puerto Rico.
And
authentic.
Yeah. And you know what else, Rico, they can do right now? They can hit a super sticker and donate to this content with a question that they want answered by Flash and Luke, and we will ask it on that episode in 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
Right there. So, yeah, I can't wait to get into Puerto Rico with you, Flash. Looking forward to these crazy stories that you're going to be telling us there. But let's go back to our subject matter. Let's go way back and scale it back to Chris Benoit. So, okay, they want to expunge people from the WWE who do, at the end of their lives or something, they do something, they work somewhere they don't like, and then they pretend like they never existed. Now, do we agree with this, yay or nay? Or should Chris be acknowledged for the character, not the person, not the man, the character that he played in WWE and WCW? What do you say, Flash?
Well, it's a tough one, man. I mean, people will already know who he is.
Yeah.
And everybody knows what he did.
Yes.
So
it's kind of hard to erase him.
Right.
He's done too much.
Mm-hmm.
After a bomb explodes, you can't put it back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's like the Unabomber. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, Charles Manson, everyone who's done killings, they all know what they did.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Mm-hmm.
So
all of them.
Yep. Yep. So, I mean, what do you say? Do you think that they should acknowledge him and give him that Hall of Fame or
no?
Nope. Okay.
No.
All right. Rico?
I mean, I would still acknowledge what he's done in wrestling. It's kind of sad because his other son, David, I mean, now he's kind of like, I don't know if he wants to wrestle or not, but I always see stuff where he wants to wrestle, but he's kind of like blackballed.
Really?
Well, I don't know but you sit there. I mean,
he's got the last name Benoit.
Yeah,
they know where he comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But
it looks like his dad.
Okay, so Chris Benoit is not in the Hall of Fame?
No, and they also keep him out of mention in the network and stuff like that. They don't really mention him anymore.
Okay, now to induct him into the Hall of Fame, I agree with Flash. No.
Okay.
But you can't erase the guy. He was a pillar in the business. I'm going to go back to Vince. Okay, I'm going to go back to Vince. Vince as a person did terrible, terrible things, unspeakable, punished. Yes, he should be punished. But if there was no Vince McMahon, there'd be no WWE today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a personal life and a professional life. Okay, do I agree with what our president did in his personal life? Hell no. Mm-hmm. I do not support that. It goes against everything I am. His politics, what he says he's going to do, okay, that's business. Do what you say you're going to do. Okay, I just couldn't get it out of Kamala. Mm-hmm. She never said what she was going to do. Mm-mm. And I'm going to be a voter. I'm voting, so try to get me to vote. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I want to vote for what's right. Democrats got great ideas. Republicans have great ideas. But it's not just all Democrats or not all Republicans. It's your correct separation.
Yeah.
So, work together, because you want to know why? You government officials, you're supposed to be working for us, not yourself. You're supposed to be making our lives better, not yours. somebody wrote in one time, Rico ought to go into politics. I was
Mhm.
doing a of that virtual signing.
Yeah.
Somebody Rico for president, and the host tells me, "Oh, somebody wants you to run for president." And I said, "I can't. I can't be in politics. I'm too honest that I say what's on my mind, and I'm going to get my butt shot.
Mhm.
They'll erase me quick." I don't know how many chiefs of police I've told off and just flat out said no because it's not right. It's not the law. The law says this, and you're telling me to do this.
Yeah.
Take a bag and pack or your lunch because I'm not doing it.
Hmm.
Put
Hmm.
me up for discipline. I don't care. I'll fight it. And I had one chief give me trouble for 6 years, and I kept stuffing it right back in his face
Yeah.
with
Well,
a smile.
well, I know that you are on point, Rico. Like I said, you know this too, Flash. You don't mess with Rico. He's going to be truthful. But I think a lot of people, why they get offended this day and age, gentlemen, both of you, is because the truth is a very scary thing. And a lot of people
Hurts.
today are big time liars. They're all becoming fakes. So when the truth comes out and opposes them, they're gonna shrink and shrivel up like like you ever seen a spider when it retracts its legs and it kind of shrivels up like that sort of thing? That's how I feel they are. When the truth comes around them, they get terrified because you'll expose their lies. What do you
Yeah.
say about that,
So
Flash?
Well, yeah. I, I don't ever try to talk politics or religion
No,
because
no,
no.
no matter what.
no. He's not talking politics, Flash. He says, can you stand up for the truth and your values and not shrink away?
Oh, when I
That's
do
what
that,
he's talking about.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like you, Rico. The one time there at the school, and you had the teacher in the locked locked in the room, and you were sitting there in the chair, wouldn't let him out.
What? Rico locked somebody up? What? In wrestling? What the heck
And
happened here? What was this, Flash?
I'm not going to go into all of it, but the the teacher was kind of disrespectful to Rico, and Rico was going to let him know, hey, that's not what's going on here, and I will kill you.
Wow, Rico.
Like I told you, I can't be in politics.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But
Rico.
yeah.
Hey, it's the truth. What am I
Yeah.
going to say? It happened.
But I never seen Rico rock so fast, and it was like, all right, Rico, you take care. I'm going to go over here and leave you alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I get upset, my RPMs go up on the rocking. I mean,
Yeah.
I break the speed barrier sometimes.
Gee. But you know what, Rico? But to Rico's defense, everybody, and to Flash, you were trying to make your career. And this is somebody who's interfering with it, wasting your time, not teaching or whatever it was. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I can see. Like you said, you wanted to get there. You weren't like Cena. You didn't have
No.
20 years. You had to get there fast, right? So
Yeah.
you knew it was every day was important. Speaking of Cena, as we kind of could bring this one to a conclusion, because I thought that'd be a good opportunity. So this week he came out and he cut his heel promo. Rico, did you
Yeah,
see
you
it?
did. Oh yeah.
Okay. Flash, you see it?
Yeah, great promo.
Yep.
But
Yeah. That was
Cena's
the
great on the mic.
that was the prototype right
That
there.
was him? Okay.
That was the
But
prototype.
Okay.
and here's the thing, I used to always sit there and like, I wish he would just turn Cena. The crowd boos him and all this stuff. But now that he's turned, I don't want to see him as a heel. No, because because like all the Make a Wish stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So now, I mean, I hate saying them because some of those kids aren't around anymore.
Mhm.
But now all the other kids, now you've crushed every one of them, and I don't know. That's just me because, like, I think I'm one of the only guys that likes being a babyface.
Hmm.
Oh, I
And
liked it. I wanted to show versatility. I loved being the baby face.
oh,
You know.
there's one lady that come to that was sitting there. She hated me, and she's smart to the business.
Mhm.
And I was a heel, and she hated me. Did not like me whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the guys running the shows. They were telling me about it, and like, should we tell her? I'm like, no, let her keep hating me. And then it gets to the point where they hate you so much. because I always think if you go somewhere and you haven't been there, come in there as a heel, make them hate you so much. If they hate you more than anybody else, then they will like you eventually. And then they flip you babyface, and then they want to see you do what you did to all the baby faces to the heels now.
Mhm.
And I've been a babyface there for a long time, and I don't want to turn on it. It's like the fans like me. If they start turning on me, then okay. But I mean, I think Cena's kind of let all the kids down that looked up to him, because Cena was. I mean, shoot, Rico, Cena was a role model. He's
Yeah,
still
well,
your
now
gimmick.
when he got to WWE,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
still your
he
gimmick.
was
Yeah. I mean,
basically. But I'm going to say something here because what you just said made me think, okay, he's doing this heel thing now. Before he leaves, how much you want to bet he goes face?
oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure he will. Yeah, I'm sure he will.
He'll go face
Yeah.
because Cody kind of introduced it. He
Hmm.
goes, "Who's this? I don't recognize you. I want to wrestle that guy." And he's pointing at his shirt.
Yeah.
We've seen him with the hand up. I'm looking for that guy. So to me, just going off on my little ADD, I'm going, you can't keep him heel that long. Okay, he was frustrated, and what he said, you know, you want everything. You took everything out of me. You gave me nothing. You stole from me. Great promo, and
Hmm.
great. Brussels was great too.
Oh yeah.
Brussels audience was fantastic the whole night.
Hmm.
So you remember you heard it here first. I think Cena's going to end on a face.
Oh, I would think so. I think the foreshadow is there. One of the things that I thought was brilliant, but yet disappointing at the same time, was that he is not going to change anything. But yet they played into that because as you think you're going to get new music, that's my music. You think you dress like me. I'm not going to dress. I'm not going to change. But I think it would have been refreshing had he changed. I think it would have looked. It would have just. It would be like Hulk Hogan, right?
Well, he went to
Hogan.
black.
Yeah, he went to black.
Yeah,
He could
red and
disappeared.
yellow. He just went to black and white.
And he wore
well,
the tights instead of the trunks.
Yep.
well,
So
me and Rico know Cena has more pairs of boots than I think anyone's ever had,
yeah,
and trunks he's had made. I mean,
yep.
oh my God, he had.
Every week he had a different trunk, a different boot.
Wow.
Every week. And if, when we were touring, when we went up in dark matches, whatever state we were in, he had the college's team colors and he'd wear them.
I'm wondering because the rumor was not the rumor is reported that he was a limo driver. I wonder how he had so much money to do all this. I mean, was he getting paid? Well, he was already under contract, right? At OVW, so he was getting paid by WWE.
At
Yeah,
least 750 a week.
yeah. I was gonna.
That's what I got paid.
So he could have probably afforded, yeah, because like I said, 750 a week plus whatever he savings he had. I could see he could have invested in
Well,
a.
don't forget he was a television star on that show called Manhunt.
Was he a
What
featured or was he an extra?
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
the hunter.
Big
Okay.
Tim.
Okay. So he was there for
Yeah.
how long was that? How long did that
The
run?
whole that season, at least that season. But
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he was the star.
Oh,
I
so
mean,
he
everybody looked like the other folks looked like reality doing this, doing that. Cena came out as a natural. I mean, he played his part. You really believe Cena was hunting these people down.
Cena was the American Gladiator, and Rico was the contestant.
Well, you know what? That would have been a good
Well, you
gimmick.
know what I did to the gladiators.
Yeah. But that would have been a good gimmick. And then eventually you turn on him and you beat him. That would have been a cool gimmick for OVW.
Well, they brought me in as the American Gladiator champion.
Yep.
When I first came in, I wore my gladiator belt, and that's how Cornette and Dean Hill promoted me.
But can you imagine had they made Cena a gladiator character and
He'd
you
have never been with me.
no, but it would have worked. The irony. The irony.
Oh, maybe.
Right? That would have been really cool right there. Maybe someone will make that up on one of the video games out there because you can create all these characters now. I didn't know this
I
because I
heard.
don't play them, but you can create Flash. You can create yourself on like one of the new WWE games almost to perfection, right? They got all this stuff you can do now. Flash, are you familiar with any of the new games? Any of the new wrestling games?
No, I don't play video games. I mean, unless they're violent video war games and killing people.
Wow.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
That was a good
I'm
one.
on I'm on 4 video games and I've never played me once.
Yep, not once.
I saw a kid play me at one of the malls in Las Vegas
Uh-huh.
as I was walking by. This is while I was still active. And I looked up and there's me wrestling Kane.
Yeah.
And it was a Sega store. So the kid's playing like this, and it has a monitor to show everybody on the outside what he's playing.
Mhm.
So I'm looking up, going, "Oh my god!" And he's doing the spin kicks, the heel kicks, the jump kicks, this and that. And I just thought to myself, "God, this kid's better with his thumbs than I am in real life."
Thinking, man, I wish Kane would have gave me that much in the ring.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
video
but
game.
Kane couldn't stop him.
Yeah, they
Couldn't
were.
stop me. He was thumbing in and hitting and thumbing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was darn near in a sweat. He
Yeah.
finishes games, he beats Kane, and by that time, I'm looking at him playing me,
Yeah.
and the people are stopping because they're going by the store, looking up and going, "Hey, that's you." So now I got a crowd behind me,
Yeah.
and then the kid stops the game. He's getting ready to go to the next level, and he knows there's something going on behind him. So he does this.
Yeah.
Because then he sees me stand and he's playing me.
Yeah.
So I give him the thumbs up and then I just walk away.
That is cool, man.
But yeah, he turned around so quick he almost swiveled his neck off like Linda Blair.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool, man. Rico, just question before we come to the top of the show here. So with the WWE games, I'm curious. No numbers. I don't want you to reveal numbers, but were you paid well for the likeness of your image, or did W?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I was getting good royalty checks while I was active. And every time I appeared in a semi-main event on a pay-per-view,
Mhm.
and when Charlie and I were tagging, and I told you why we were always semi-main event, because everybody wanted to be Stone Cold to the Rock and be serious. And he had all these serious matches. And then the main event's coming, which is supposed to be serious.
Mhm.
That's why this pay-per-view is going on. So they needed a little comedic relief.
Yep. And there
So
you
they put Charlie in at the semi-main event to let everybody exhale, laugh a little bit. So when JBL took on Eddie Guerrero, they were ready to get back into the seriousness.
Mhm.
I mean, there was a little disdain in the locker room because I was semi-main event,
Yeah.
and the higher you up on the card, the higher you get paid.
Flash, I see you.
And people get mad about that. It's like, look, the card goes this, and this. It builds up. If you have every match and people are on their feet, when that comes that last match, they're gonna be wore out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just be sitting like, oh God, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
There
You
is-
got to have it in there.
Rock and Hogan, and then what was it, Hunter and Jericho afterwards?
Yeah, WrestleMania 18.
The one WrestleMania. Yeah, I mean, you're going to follow Rock and Hogan?
Yeah. No. Sometimes, yeah.
That's kind of hard.
It's a hard act to follow. You got to pace everything. And speaking of pacing, gentlemen, we have come to the top of the hour of this episode of Styling. It's been an absolute wonderful experience. Flash, I cannot wait for you to come back and tell our audience all about Puerto Rico, right? In 2 weeks with Luke Williams, the bushwhacker. But Flash, you know you know what our fans need to do, Flash, right? And you need to tell them the only way they can watch it is by doing what, Flash?
Subscribe.
What button? Subscribe.
Subscribe. Yep.
Man, all I know is push the button, subscribe.
That's it.
Shoot, people are stupid to realize that sometimes.
I know you. Well, you got to hit that
I'll tell it
subscribe.
like it is.
Yep. It's free. It's a free button. It's right there at the bottom of your screen. So make sure you smash that, hit the likes, and share with your friends and family. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been one of your co-hosts, the Master Amir. Down at the bottom of the screen, my co-host, the stylist, Rico Constantino. And I, gentlemen.
And what do I always say?
What do you always say, Rico? Lead us out.
Everybody, what your mind can conceive, your heart can achieve.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Flash. And we will see you all next week. God bless.
God bless.